On the 6th of September 1781, the Zong, a slave ship, left the west coast of Africa, bound for Jamaica. The ship was overcrowded, carrying 442 kidnapped Africans. The human cargo was manacled and packed so tightly they had no room to move. But for the captain, Luke Collingwood, the more Africans he could squeeze in, the greater the margin of profit for both the ship's owners and himself. The Zong was originally named Zorg, meaning care in Dutch, by its owners, the Middelburgsche Commercie Compagnie. It operated as a slave ship based in Middelburg, Netherlands, and made its first voyage in 1777, delivering kidnapped Africans to the Dutch colony of Surinam in South America. Zong was the first command of Luke Collingwood, formerly the surgeon on the William, another slave ship. While Collingwood lacked experience in navigation and command, ship's surgeons were typically involved in selecting captured Africans for purchase, so their medical expertise supported the determination of commodity value for a captive. If the surgeon rejected a captive, that individual suffered commercial debt, being of no value and was liable to be killed by the African traders. Sometimes these killings happened in the presence of the surgeon. It is therefore likely that Collingwood had already witnessed the mass killing of slaves. Historian Jeremy Crickler commented that this may have prepared him psychologically to condone the massacre that later took place on the Zong. When Zong sailed from Accra with 442 slaves on the 18th of August 1781, it had taken on more than twice the number of people that it could safely transport. In the 1780s, British-built ships typically carried 1.75 slaves per ton of the ship's capacity. On the Zong, the ratio was 4.0 per ton. A British slave ship of the period would only carry around 193 slaves, and it was extremely unusual for a ship of the Zong's relatively small size to carry so many. After taking on drinking water at Southam, Zong began its voyage across the Atlantic Ocean to Jamaica on the 6th of September 1781. On the 18th or 19th of November, the ship neared Tobago in the Caribbean, but failed to stop there to replenish its water supplies. It is unclear who, if anyone, was in charge of the ship at this point, as Luke Collingwood had been gravely ill for some time. The man who would normally have replaced him, first mate James Kelsall, had been suspended from duty following an argument on the 14th of November. On the 27th or 28th of November, the crew sighted Jamaica at a distance of 27 nautical miles, that's 50 kilometers or 31 miles. But they misidentified it as the French colony of Santo Domingue on the island of Hispaniola. Zong continued on its westward course, leaving Jamaica behind. This mistake was recognized only after the ship was 300 miles or 480 kilometers leeward of the island, and leeward means downwind. Overcrowding, malnutrition, accidents, and diseases had already killed several mariners and approximately 62 Africans, and there was only 4 days drinking water remaining on the ship when the navigational error was discovered and Jamaica was still 10 to 13 sailing days away. Collingwood began to panic. The delivery of dead slaves would earn the ship owners nothing. If, however, the Africans were somehow lost at sea, then the ship owner's insurance would cover the loss at £30 per head. If the slaves died on shore, the ship owners would have had no redress from their insurers. Similarly, if the slaves died a natural death, as the contemporary term put it, at sea, then insurance could not be claimed. If some slaves were thrown overboard to save the rest of the cargo or the ship, then a claim could be made on the general average. This principle holds that a captain who jettisons part of his cargo to save the rest can claim for the loss from his insurers.
Oh, freedom!
On the 29th of November, Collingwood made an unimaginable, cruel, but to his mind logical decision that some of the slaves should be thrown overboard. So on 29th of November, 54 women and the children were thrown through cabin windows into the sea. On the 1st of December, 42 males were thrown overboard and 36 more followed in the next few days. Another 10, in a display of defiance at the inhumanity of the slavers, chose to commit suicide by jumping into the sea. Having heard the shrieks of the victims as they were thrown into the water, one of the captives requested that the remaining Africans be denied all food and drink rather than thrown into the sea. The crew ignored this request. In total, 142 Africans were killed by the time the ship reached Jamaica. The account of the King's Bench trial reports that one slave managed to climb back onto the ship after being thrown into the water. The crew claimed that the slaves had been jettisoned because the ship did not have enough water to keep all the slaves alive for the rest of the voyage. This claim was later disputed, as the ship had 420 gallons, that's 1,900 liters of water left when it finally arrived in Jamaica on the 22nd of December. An affidavit later made by Kelsall stated that on the 1st of December, when 42 slaves were killed, it rained heavily for more than a day, allowing 6 casks of water, sufficient for 11 days, to be collected. On the 22nd of December 1781, the Zong arrived at Black River, Jamaica, with 208 slaves on board. That's less than half the number taken from Africa. The survivors were sold into slavery in January 1782. These people were sold for an average price of £36 sterling per person. The Jamaican Vice Admiralty Court upheld the legality of the British capture of the Zong from the Dutch, and the syndicate renamed the ship Richard of Jamaica. Luke Collingwood died 3 days after the Zong reached Jamaica, 2 years before the 1783 court proceedings about the case. For J.M.W. Turner's The Slave Ship painting came to light when an insurance company citing insurance fraud refused to cover the losses of cargo. The resulting court cases, Gregson versus Gilbert, brought the depravity of the slave trade to the public consciousness and spurred on the abolition movement in Britain. If you have found this video interesting or informative, please give it a thumbs up. And thank you so much for watching. Stay blessed.